So it's now June, the middle of the summer. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Dolores, and this is when a lot of people really start grilling. They start using their Blackstone. What's your favorite item we cook on the Blackstone, Dolores?
Of course, smash burgers.
Yeah, smash burgers is her favorite, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and the Blackstone griddle, so stick around.
Time to fire up that grill. From smoked pork to smash burgers, outdoor cooking just tastes better. This is the Okie Smokin Podcast. And here's your host, John Berry.
Yeah, so welcome back. Did you know that this is our 20th? This marks our 20th episode right here on the Okie Smokin Podcast show, which is quite impressive. Got a lot of them behind us. If you haven't listened to them, be sure and check them out. Today's is all about the Blackstone and some tips. I've got 5 tips that we're going to cover in today's episode that are going to help you. It's just going to make every cook you do even better. It's going to elevate your Blackstone. That's what this one's all about. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So you said your favorite is the smash burger.
Yes, I think it tastes good.
So if I were to have some burgers coming up tonight and I was going to throw them over charcoal, a nice fat juicy burger, or I was just going to take a couple and smash them right on the griddle, what do you go for? What's your go-to burger? Where are you going to tell me to cook it at?
Of course, smashed burgers, because I like that on the Blackstone griddle because it tastes better. I think it has more flavor.
Yeah, we talked about this a minute ago, me and you. I follow a griddle Facebook group, and there's always people in there that, you know, Facebook groups, they're trolls. Some people just don't like something. They can't just scroll past it. They got to comment. And they said that smash burgers are terrible. You ruin the burger. It's the worst burger. A fat, juicy burger is the best burger. And I even read where he said a rare burger, which I'm not for a rare burger at all. So I'm not sure if he knew a whole lot of what he was talking about. But I think that smash burger with the caramelization, you get that caramelization on there. You get that crust.
It has more flavor.
Yes, it brings the flavor in. It puts the seasoning on it. So let's just talk real quick about how to make the perfect smash burger. Now, I always say you want a double.
Yes. I always get a double.
Because they are thin.
Yeah.
Maybe even a triple.
I usually do a double, though.
Yeah. A double smash burger is the way to go.
Unless I'm not eating it with my keto bread, then I'll say triple.
And then a triple. But yeah, you've got to have a double smash burger. Mm-hmm. Every smash burger I make typically is 2 of them.
Yeah.
And you get some small ones. So they're thin, they're small. Mm-hmm. They start at 2 to 3 ounces, 2.5 ounces, we'll say. And you put that, you just put as a ball, kind of like a golf ball, maybe a little bigger. Yeah. And you put that on the griddle and you smash it. Mm-hmm. But before you do that, there's some rules you have to apply to make the smash burger what it is.
What is it?
Well, number 1, you want to make sure the griddle is hot.
Oh,
And I mean hot. And this is a mistake I made many a times. You'd put it on there and then it didn't come out right, or it took too
I have
long.
A question. Mm-hmm. Do you put grease on it or anything, or you just...
You can, but for the most part, if you have it seasoned properly, which we're going to go into seasoning your griddle here in a minute, you shouldn't really have to. If you got a good, like a 73 or 80% burger, that grease from the burger should be enough on a good seasoned griddle so that you really don't need to add any grease. You can add butter and things, but what you don't want to add, and this is my opinion, and my opinion's usually right, you don't want to put you don't want to put onions on the griddle or anything like that before you put your burger. You also don't want to season it in advance.
Why can't you put onions on the griddle first?
Because you put it on top of the smash burger. If you're going to put onions on your smash burger, you put it on top. Now,
I get it. So it could cook into it, and then you
can
put the
cook
cheese
into
and
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do think there's some versions where I've seen people do it the opposite. But I think you put it on there. You don't season the meat before you put it on the griddle.
So if you have mushrooms, do you put it with the onions and then put it on top?
Yeah. Once the smash burger is smashed, at that point you can start to add onions to it. You can add mushrooms to it. Add your seasoning on the side that's not yet cooking. Mm-hmm. Let that side cook for a good minute or two, and then you're gonna go ahead and scrape it. You need a good scraper. You could get a plumber's putty knife if you want it, but I just have some good old spatulas.
You know, we should try that. What is it called? It's called the Flying Dutchman or something like that. Have you heard of it?
It sounds familiar.
Like In-N-Out does it, where it's like the burger, but you do the grilled onion for the bun is the grilled onions.
Oh, we can try that.
Eat that way. Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
I bet that would be good. Yeah.
We need to order their sauce though.
Oh, we could make a smash burger with the In-N-Out sauce.
Yes. Or I could have my sister send us some.
Oh yeah, they got an In-N-Out out there. We'll be going out there soon. We ought to bring some back.
You know, we always do that. We always bring it back, and I don't know what happened.
I think we need to bring some back.
But what happened to our last ones that we brought back? Did the kids take them?
I don't know. I'm sure it's definitely gone now. It's been a minute.
I know. I just wondered what happened to them because we did take some. You know how I am.
Every time.
Oh my goodness.
Always get some In-N-Out sauce.
I know my husband doesn't really care for In-N-Out, but I love In-N-Out. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's good, but it's not my smash burger.
It's good. It's good. Oh, I love getting In-N-Out.
But yeah, that's how you really make the best smash burger is you go through that, you get the griddle hot, add the seasoning, and really flip it one time.
Okay.
Flip it. As soon as you flip it, what do you add?
What do I add?
What should you add? Cheese. Absolutely. So we put the cheese on, let the cheese melt. And if you're going to do a double or a triple, you have them all cooking. You flip them all at the same time. You throw the cheese on, then you just start let it cook another minute.
I learned from you to put cheeses on all slices.
Yep. Put it on all slices and then just put it on each other. Mm-hmm. And then your burger no longer looks thin. It's like you got a bigger burger. At that point, whenever you flip it, if you want to toast your buns or something, put those on. Get your buns toasted. Add your mustard, ketchup, or anything else you want. And the crazy thing is a smash burger don't need a lot of that. You can just put it on and just eat it.
Yeah, you can eat it plain. Yeah.
Sauteed jalapenos goes well with it.
Jalapenos.
Yeah. Those people in the comments, they call me out every time. So that is the best way to make a burger. And this episode's all about Blackstone. So we're going to go into the 5 tips that I'm going to talk about for every cook to make sure that your Blackstone is prepared, things you need to do. But before we do that, we do need to go ahead and pay the bills on the podcast. The podcast isn't free. So, hey.
Summer's here, and you know what that means? Firing up your Blackstone griddle for delicious cookouts with friends and family. But when the party's over, how do you protect your griddle from the elements?
Don't let rain, dust, or even curious critters ruin your investment. Here at Okie Smokin, we know how much you love your Blackstone griddle. That's why we recommend the Bungee cover.
The Bungee cover is the ultimate shield for the Blackstone griddle. It's crafted from high-quality silicone material that's both durable and flexible, withstanding anything Mother Nature throws your way.
That's right. The Bungee cover is waterproof. It keeps rain, snow, and moisture away, preventing rust. It's heat resistant, can handle temperatures up to 400 degrees, and it's animal and insect proof. No more unwanted guests sneaking a taste of your next meal. Protect from debris. Keep leaves, dust, and dirt off your griddle, making cleanup a breeze.
The Bungee cover's silicone design is built to last, resisting cracking and wearing even under harsh weather conditions.
So go to okiesmokin.com/cover. That's okiesmokin.com/COVER to order yours today from Amazon. And be sure and select the correct size for your Blackstone griddle.
Get the Banji cover and keep your Blackstone griddle ready to sizzle all year long.
Now, let's get back to the Okie Smokin Show. All right, so now we're back, and the Blackstone. It is one of my favorite ways to cook. I mean, we've cooked chicken on it. We've stir-fried on it. We've cooked burgers. We've cooked steak, which steak's good on it. And if you cook a steak...
I don't really care for the steak on it.
Yeah, you have to.
I
mean, it's hard to nail it.
I like it on the
And even if you nail it, it still may not quite be as good as if you do it on a charcoal or on a pellet grill. The pellet grill is real good if you got one with the flame. Cook it on it where it sears it.
Now, the Philly steaks are good on it.
Philly cheesesteaks, excellent on the Blackstone. Yep.
But a steak, I like
it on
you've got
to sear both sides, and then you got to try to cook it to the right temperature.
I'm picky on my steak. You should know.
You like the flame broiled steaks.
Yes, I do.
Well, let's go ahead and get into 5 of the tips you need to do. Everybody should do to the Blackstone. And of course, before you cook, there is one thing that needs done, and that's you've got to season your Blackstone griddle.
So, what do you mean by season? Do you put seasonings on it? Like salt, pepper?
No, we're not talking about that. That would be to season your food. But in order to season your Blackstone griddle, which I know you haven't saw me do this and don't know a whole lot about this, but what we do is we put the oil. So let's just start over. So if you get a brand new Blackstone or you strip it down to nothing. And
yes, I remember us stripping that one down.
Yeah, we stripped one down, a used one that we got, and we stripped it down to nothing. If you start to cook on it, everything's going to stick to it. It's not yet ready.
Okay.
So
it's not like a pan.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cast iron. How you got to season the skillet. So what you do is you add oil to it, and then you get it real hot. You let the oil burn off, and then it starts to get a shinier look. You're going to start to get a look that the Blackstone will start to actually turn black.
So how many times do you have to do that?
Well, there's various methods that you can do for this, and I'm going to go over a couple of them. First of all, you can do it one way. You can just turn your Blackstone up to as hot as it'll get. We're talking 500 degrees, and get you some canola oil, some avocado oil. You can use olive oil if you want, but I prefer higher point oil. They even sell some Blackstone designated for this. I've never used that. Don't think you need to. I just use canola oil and avocado oil, whatever I have on hand. Canola's cheaper, so that's what I'd go with. But you can mix it as well. But you put that and you just rub it a good thin layer all over your griddle. Let it get hot until it quits smoking. Once it quits smoking, you've done one layer of seasoning.
So it quits smoking?
Yes, it should reduce quite a bit. So you're going to get the smoke to burn off. At that point, it's seasoned in. You then do it another time. You just basically get you a rag. Now, when you get a rag, I recommend it's a microfiber rag so that you don't get fibers and stuff on it. So you can get one of those and you rub it on. You can use a paper towel or something, but some of the stuff may get on it. You'll also maybe want to use a spatula instead of your hand so you don't burn yourself. But you'll rub all that on there. And you do that about 3 or 4 times, and you're going to see that your Blackstone is getting blacker. It's starting to get a little shinier, and it's now starting to develop a nonstick surface. So now you should be able to cook on it without the item sticking quite as much. Now, after you get a freshly seasoned Blackstone, I really don't recommend you start with eggs or you start with pancakes because it's probably not the best yet.
So you need bacon or something?
Bacon is where you go.
I see.
And some people swear by ignoring the 2 or 3 step process. And a lot of people will say this, just to break in your Blackstone, get you some pork belly, get you some bacon, get you all that stuff. And brand new Blackstone, throw you some oil on it, go ahead and maybe give it one quick layer of seasoning, then just start throwing you up 2 or 3 pounds of bacon. Get it all messy and just let that cook. And that's seasoning your griddle while it's cooking the bacon.
So is pork belly bacon?
Pork belly is bacon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You can get it, and you get it in some thicker pieces.
Can you use chorizo? Because it's greasy.
Yeah, you could use some of that too.
Chorizo?
I can't say it. I would prefer bacon or just some pork and things like that just to get on there. So you get what you want to put on there, something that's going to develop and add grease.
Yeah.
So basically, instead of seasoning with avocado or with canola oil, you're actually seasoning your griddle with that bacon.
So when you're done with the bacon, do you just leave it or do you clean it off?
Well, no, you'll take the bacon off and then, you'll just scrape off the oil, wipe it down once it's done.
So you never wash it with like soap and water?
No. The first time.
See, that's good to know because I think there was a point in time when I cooked on that thing. And I almost did wash it with soap and water.
It shouldn't hurt it too much, but
well, I'm glad I didn't.
You don't want to really do that for the most part. You just want to wipe it off. And
okay.
But that's going to go into our next tip, actually, which I'm glad you said that because we're talking about seasoning it. Our next tip's actually cleaning it. But, and this will help you to cook on a Blackstone better. But you just want to get all those seasonings in there. It just burns into it. And the beautiful thing about a Blackstone is every time you cook, you're going to add some oil, right? You're going to add an egg, you're going to add butter, you're going to add oil, and you're going to continue to season it over time. The more you cook on it, the better the seasoning gets. It's like it's a story. It's got your cooks. If you could read it, it would be layers of your cooks, and it gets better over time. The center of it will probably be the best seasoned, and eventually the outer parts will get better seasoned. So if you're cooking something, it may not be as nonstick on one side. Maybe you don't use as much. Also, certain areas of it don't get as hot. The bottom and the top and the edges, they don't always get as hot, so they may not be as seasoned and may take longer to get there. But the next thing I want to talk about is the number 2 tip is cleaning up right.
Wait, we did. I thought we already did number 2. I thought it was 1 and then 2.
No, we haven't done 2 yet.
I thought we did already.
Yeah, that's number 1. We talked about seasoning it. Number 2 is cleaning it up right, which is after each use, you want to make sure you clean it, you did touch on it. Don't use soap.
Yeah, I didn't. As a matter of fact, after I cooked my stuff, I left it because I didn't want to ruin it.
When it's hot.
Because I was scared. I just scraped off the top of it. And then I turned it off and left it because I didn't want to get in trouble with you if I did something bad.
No, you don't want to get in trouble with me. But you keep touching on things we're going to talk about because tip number 5 is protecting your investment. So you don't run it. So we're going to touch on that here in a moment as well. But when you clean it up, you just want to get you a spatula or a scraper and just scrape it all off and just put it in a corner, or just most of the Blackstones will have a little hole you put it down.
Yeah.
And then you just go ahead and scrape it off. Wipe it down with your micro fiber cloth, and you're good to go. You might want to go ahead and add a little water to it to take off anything that's sticky or stuck to it. So it's okay to
use water. But do you leave it on while you're cleaning
it? You don't have to leave it on, but you still kind of want it warm or hot. But if you do go and eat, I prefer to, when I come back, to turn it on and heat it up a little bit before I do, just because it makes it easier to clean. Someone listening to this may disagree, but that's how I prefer to do it. There's many ways you can do it, but you just want to do that, and then you want to take your cloth and wipe all the corners, clean it off. You kind of want it to be smooth when you're done. And
I've never cleaned that thing, so that's good to know.
And one other thing I like to do, and I do this pretty much after every cook, is add some oil. Now, this step, it don't have to be hot at all. You could wait, You probably should because you don't want to burn yourself. But once it cools down, before you completely cover it, is just take you a layer of, and this can be any oil, olive, canola, vegetable.
You just like put it down.
It don't
and wipe
matter.
It.
Just put some on it and wipe all over the surface and the edges of the entire Blackstone. And that's going to help protect it until the next cook.
Okay.
And then that way it will help prevent water or rust and dirt and other things getting on it. And that's when you put in the bungee cover that we talked about. You put that all over the edges of it, and that even adds another layer of protection as well. So you'll put that bungee cover on it. If you don't have that, that's fine. You just leave the oil on it. You can put a lid on it if you have it or whatever. You're covered normal.
So you're not even using the lid. You're just using the bungee cover?
Well, when you use the bungee cover, I still, if you have a lid, would put that over the top of it.
Okay.
And it actually seals it in, airtights it. And there's a video on my YouTube channel, if you check it out, the Okie Smokin YouTube channel, of where I show myself putting the bungee cover on it and even putting the lid over it and sealing it in. So you really have some good protection there, and you don't have to worry about insects. You don't have to worry about rust, rain, or anything. You really seal it tight.
It's been a rainy season this year.
It rains
too.
all the time. It was sprinkling outside just a minute ago. But that's tip number one is, what was tip number one? Seasoning.
Seasoning it.
Tip number two is cleaning it up right. And number three is preheating for your cooks.
Mm-hmm. What's number 4?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but we're going to stick with preheating first. And that is allow time to preheat. Don't turn it on and throw a burger on and then expect it to cook.
Well, yeah.
You want to really get it heated up.
Surely most people know that, babe.
Now, there are some things that they think you should cook slow, or maybe bacon, you put it on cold. I'm not in agreement with that, really.
I have heard about bacon, like you put it on cold and then you heat it up. I have heard that. Even in a pan, you're supposed to do that.
We could try that and see.
I have done it in a pan before.
I haven't tried on the Blackstone, and if you listening prefer, or you do your Blackstone cook a bacon like that, let us know. There's if you go to the show notes, you'll see send a text to John and Dolores. You can talk to us about that. But I typically like to really preheat it at least to a low medium state, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, and then put the food on. Because also it's something you don't use regularly, although we use it regularly. We use it quite a bit.
Everything.
Yeah. So what I mean is you have it out there and you may want to kind of preheat it and kind of get everything burned off of it a little bit. And you kind of want to get it sanitized a little, heat it up, and then throw your food on it. And so preheating, I think, is essential. And especially when it comes to smash burgers, because you want to really heat it up to where it's, I'm saying 400 degrees before you put them smash burgers on, and then smash them into the griddle.
Yeah.
And
if not, it will stick if you just leave it.
Yeah, and it just comes out better. Then you don't want to try to flip anything until you are to the point to where it should release fairly easy.
I like cooking like the fajita chicken on there too. It makes it like moist. It's not like tough or anything. Yeah. Yeah,
fajita chicken. Stir fry. What did we make with that fajita chicken? We made some burritos. Yeah, I made burritos with it, and I also put it in my chicken Alfredo. So before we go to tip number 4, we already know your number one thing cooked on the Blackstone is smash burgers. So what is number 2? What's your next favorite? If we don't have any burgers around, what do you like next? I like the Philly cheese steak. The Philly cheese steak. I mean, I can't use the bread, but I mean, you guys can. But I like how it tastes. Yeah, they have some. You can find them at your local grocery store. I'm sure it's some steakums. Remember the steakums we did? Where did we find those at? We found a box of them at Winco, and it was very inexpensive. And I tried to look for it last time when I was at Winco. I thought maybe it was crust. No, it was Winco
Winco?
the first time, and Crest or Walmart, or you can probably find them. I don't know, but I couldn't find them the last time I was looking either. But they're not that much. They're
those
not
things
that
were-
much.
And it was,
And it's in the freezer section,
Yeah.
and you look at it, and you're like, But then, boy, you throw it on there, and you just fry that up.
but where did I buy the last one at?
The last one, what?
The last of the.
Oh, that was from
Really?
Costco.
Okay, that's why. Okay.
And now
I
that's some
split
good
those
steak.
up.
Wow, yeah,
That was a lot.
they sliced them things thin. It was like from the meat department, and they took a steak, and it wasn't that expensive. And they had that thing thin sliced, and we made several batches of
I did
Philly
different things.
cheesesteak.
Well, I didn't do I did like rice with it.
Yeah, we
instead
did
of,
different things.
Yeah.
And those were great. So yeah, you're right. Philly cheesesteaks are right up there.
Well, you know what? That steak would probably be good on pizza.
Pizza, yeah.
Maybe with some barbecue.
Yeah, I think that would be. But let's get on into tip number 4 on the Blackstone, which is mastering the heat zones. So this is actually the hard part is mastering it, because once you get one side hot or you get one side low and you get something done and you've got to move it to a different part of the Blackstone, that can be challenging. And you can have up to 4 or maybe even 5 zones, depending on which one you have. The one I use most of the time is my 27, 28 inch? 28, 27, something like that. And it only has 2 zones. So you have a burner on the left, you have a burner on the right. I do have the bigger 36 inch one that I just don't ever use. And so I usually have them both on fairly close to the same. But if you're going to cook something that you might want to cook low, you want the left one or the right one at a different temperature, and you want the other one hot. But if you got a 4 zoner, you can actually have that set up so that you can curate the temperatures for the food. If you're having vegetables, you want them cooler, and just mastering the heat zones is really key to making sure that, for example, you cook bacon. Then you want to move the bacon to a spot of the griddle that it doesn't keep cooking, but it stays warm. So that's just a basic tip there. Try to use your heat zones.
Because I don't like my bacon crispy.
And if you want them crispy, keep them on a side to where they continue to cook during the duration of it. I personally like them. I want it to break in half.
See, and me and the kids are not that way.
You want it chewy.
It's not like necessarily chewy. It's just not crispy. I don't like it crispy.
Yeah, I like some crispiness.
Unless it's like in like soup or something, you chop it up. But
Right. You're right. So yeah, that's your 4th tip there, is just master your heat zones. Determine what you're cooking, have different temperatures set. If you're going to be cooking a big cook on a 4-zone system, don't have everything on high.
yeah.
You'll want one on low, or maybe even a zone completely turned off if you have a big griddle. So you could just put stuff over there and let it set, because the whole thing's going to stay a little warm.
Yeah.
There ain't no doubt about that. You don't want to touch the offside. It's still going to be hot. So master those zones. And the number 5 tip we're talking about today, you mentioned it earlier, is don't run it. We want to protect your investment. And that starts with our sponsor of getting that Banji cover and putting it over it after each cook to prevent rust. But do you know any other ways we can protect your investment of the Blackstone?
Don't wash it with soap.
Also, it goes with tip number 1, which is the seasoning. So if you were to take and
I would also say have it covered. So like if you're like us in Oklahoma where it rains,
right?
Most people have it like underneath a patio or something like that.
We kind of got a roof over ours.
You can still get sideways rain.
Yeah. Dirt.
And what about animals? You don't want like birds on it and stuff.
Well, your cover. Yeah. The Banji cover. All that helps protect that. but also using the proper tools when you're cleaning it. If you're using like a wire brush, you can actually take the seasoning off. So you don't want to scrub too hard and remove the seasoning from it. Also, you can initially, if you turn it on too hot, you can warp it. Now, if you keep burning it, it hopefully will straighten out, but you can actually warp the center of your griddle.
I didn't know that.
And another thing, which I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard, is if you have a hot griddle and you place cold food. When I mean cold food, say you take something out of the freezer and throw on there a freezer item and throw it right on there, that can warp your griddle. So you might want to kind of avoid those things just a little bit. I don't worry about it too much. In my opinion, it's almost like bulletproof. I've used it. I've done a lot of things.
Well, you know why I don't worry about it, right?
What is that?
Because you always cook for me.
Yeah, so you don't worry about it at all. And I really don't think there's a whole lot you could do to it. It's mostly to prevent, if you just do the basic steps.
I think my first time cooking on it, I was nervous because you had a bulk cleanup and you were home. I cooked for the kids and I was actually scared to use it.
Yeah, don't be scared to use it.
No, I was. I think I called you and asked you how to use it.
Yeah, that's your 5 tips right there. And did I tell you how to use it? Did I help you out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you helped me out, yeah.
Well, there's your 5 tips right there on the Blackstone griddle. That's what this episode is all about. Before we sign off, though, we want to check into the community and see if there's any latest comments on any videos or anything. I was just looking here, and I did a Weber Smoky Mountain brisket, which turned out fantastic.
Yes, that thing turned out really good.
What did you think of the tenderness?
Dang, it was like fall apart. Like when you put it in your hands, you didn't even have to like cut it, honestly.
No, there was no pull. And I said that in the video. But, it was maybe too tender, honestly.
I liked it. I was thinking like we could have made like the burgers with the like cheese and
made like brisket burgers.
Yeah, that sounded really good.
That would have been good. But I was looking here, and poor guy Outdoor, he was one of the first ones that saw this video, and he said perfect all the way around. Bravo, John. So appreciate him for looking. And he's Smoking Pot said this looks fantastic, John. That's a comment from someone new, Cooking with a Naughty. Said I really want to dig into this suburb flavors going on here and really well cooked. So appreciate the comments there. And that brisket was really, really good. I made some burnt ends with it as well. Cooked that separate, and I cut the point off. So if you want to check out that video, it's available on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and the burnt ends were 20 out of 20 that our kids said. I didn't get to taste it.
They did like the burnt ends.
Yeah. And
I added some brown sugar to them, added some honey, barbecue sauce.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire. Is it Worcestershire or Worcestershire?
I have no clue. I just say Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. I added some of that.
Who came up with that name?
But let's go over what we talked about in this episode of the podcast. It is number 20. Just went ahead and talked briefly about 5 things that you can do to help improve your Blackstone. Seasoning is, of course, number 1. You want to make sure your Blackstone's well seasoned before cooking on it. Make sure you clean it correctly. Preheat it every single time, managing your heat zones, and of course, protecting it from the elements of the weather, making sure you do things, take care of it, make sure all that is done right, and you're going to have a fantastic time using your Blackstone griddle. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Do you have anything else you'd like to add to this particular episode?
Yes, I cannot wait for the pickle challenge thing.
Oh.
Because I've been eating pickles nonstop now.
Yes, so I forgot. And we're going to have that in here by the end of the month. She brought that up. So we bought a gallon of pickles.
Yes.
And she's been eating pickles. And we're going to be creating a pickle challenge, a pickle collaboration with Jim Kitchen's Kitchen. And a bunch of other creators. It's going to be the challenge or the collaboration requirement is we have to cook something that has pickles. Mm-hmm. That's pretty simple. We could cook a burger and put pickles on it.
Yeah, but we're not doing that.
We're going to feature the pickle as the main star.
Yeah.
And in our next podcast, we'll touch a little bit more on that.
And I didn't know, like, the big pickles in the jar are, like, 0 carbs.
Yep. She's got some 0 carb pickles. So she's been eating them up.
Holy cow, I've been eating them like crazy.
And I got to say, they are really, really good.
They are.
Yep. The ones we have. And
they're actually better than the ones that your mom used to buy.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll talk about where we got them on our next podcast as well. And
oh, wait. I wanted to say, the brisket that you bought it from Kroger, and how much was it? Like, we got a discount.
Yeah, the brisket. So, and we got it for $1.58 a pound, $1.48 a pound, so. Something like that. It was regularly like $3 and something a pound. Mm-hmm. It was limit 2.
Yes.
And I bought 2. Mm-hmm. So I bought like 2 briskets for like $50.
Yeah.
But not only that, I had never ordered from Kroger before. And as a first-time customer, I got $25 off for my first order.
Yeah. So if you ever want to order from Kroger.
Yeah. Well, look at their deals. Right now, the brisket's no longer that price. Yeah. But you should check their ads and make sure that you get the right price. But and we don't even have a Kroger in Oklahoma.
No, it's just a shipping.
But we have a Kroger delivery. Yeah. Which they have a warehouse, and they take refrigerated vehicles and they deliver it to your house.
So why don't they have a Kroger out here? Why didn't they just build a store?
I think here in Oklahoma, we're so saturated with the grocery markets. You have Crest, you have Costco. Walmart, you have Winco, you have the Costco, you have the Sam's, you have Homeland, you have...
But I bet you it'd be good.
I probably would be, but I think it's saturated. Also, the time. And we didn't have a Kroger delivery until just recently, and they probably looked at it. I don't know. Maybe we will one day. But, yeah, we just had it delivered. And, I mean, by the time it was said and done and everything I ordered, those briskets, we bought 2 of them for like $50. Mm-hmm. And those were 13-pound briskets. I haven't cooked the other one yet.
Well, no, that's for my family reunion.
Yep. So I'm saving that one for a family reunion that we're going to do. I went ahead and showed you guys the first one that we did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, appreciate you all tuning in. Anything else?
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks.
We'll see you. Well, I always say we'll see you Sunday, but I'll say
we'll usually see you Monday. We usually record the episode on Sunday or a Saturday, but you will hear it on Monday. I'll see you guys then.
Thank you for listening to the Okie Smokin Podcast. Episodes drop every Monday. Don't forget to follow this podcast, or you might miss out on some delicious creations. You can also find us on our website, okiesmokin.com, and on YouTube and other social media platforms. Until next time, keep firing up that grill.
There's a brand new feature available on the Okie Smokin Podcast, and it involves you. That's right. Send me and Dolores a text, and it's never been easier. Simply scroll down to the show notes description, and you'll see where it says, send John and Dolores a text message. Click it. Talk to us. You're probably using your phone anyway, so do it now. Can't wait to hear from you.